Anyway, joining us on the Rothman Orthopedic Guest Line, my good friend. I work with him now after every Eagles game. You can follow us on the Jacob Media YouTube channel as well as 6abc.com. The Gunnfather himself, Derrick Gunn. What's up, Gunner?
Farzy, how you doing, man?
I'm doing fantastic. Latest episode of Gun on One is you and B. Mitch, no? That old Brian Mitchell?
Yeah, man. If you ever want to talk to a guy who doesn't pull punches, he's like the DC version of Seth Joyner. You ask him a question, whether you agree with him or not, he's going to tell you exactly how he sees it, how he thinks it, how he feels it. He talked about his time in Philadelphia, time with the Washington football team. And, and I put him on the spot. I said, so who are you rooting for Sunday? So I don't want to give it away. You got to listen to Gun on One to find out what he thinks about what's going on down there in Washington with the team. Unfortunately, we taped the podcast the day before we find out that the Washington football team's decimated by all this COVID stuff. So we didn't get too much into that. But, Brian Mitchell is worth his price in gold. So, yeah, you got to listen to it.
Absolutely. He's one of my favorite people ever to come through the city, in all honesty. And I remember one of the things that really stuck out to me, the first time I ever got a chance to talk to him, we talked, and then he said, all right, I got to go get my pedicure. And I go, I'm sorry, what? And he goes, I got to go get a pedicure. I go, seriously? And he goes, hey, man, I'm a professional athlete. My body's my temple. And I go, well, man, you cover it all then. God bless you. Just a man for all seasons, that Brian Mitchell. So make sure you guys check that out, the latest episode of Gun on One.
Hey, man, let me tell you something. When I first started covering this game in the early 80s, they were just men. They played the game, they showered, they went home. But as the 2000s evolved, what Brian Mitchell did or does is not a rarity. You got a lot of guys now that get pedicures, get manicures, and they all say the same thing. My body is my temple. And I'm still thinking, I can't sit still long enough. You see my nails. This is my version of a manicure.
That's it. You do that at the end? Yeah, you gotta do it at the end. Yeah.
And then my wife walks in. Why are all these nails around here? What is it? Were you clipping your toes again? Or what did you do now? I'm like, I don't know. I'm not going to tell you. Figure it out.
I'll tell you this. My body's a temple. My temple worships Mexican food. And I just piled off a plate of nachos literally before I sat down to interview you, my friend.
There you go.
So are we playing this game? At the time we taped this, we got 21 different Washington football team members that are on the COVID protocol list. What's going on there, Gunner?
Well, I don't know, man. I don't know how they're going to field a team. I mean, 5 of their top 6 defensive linemen are out. And we're still, we're talking about all the players they have in protocol, but what we're missing is, Taylor Heineke is playing on a bum knee. Their number one receiver, who's normally an Eagles killer, Terry McLaurin, is still in concussion protocol. So you add that to the list of decimation, and I don't know what they're going to do. But what the NFL said since this last July, those teams who cannot play will forfeit the game, and both teams will not get paid for the game.
Wow!
So I'm sure players are all real happy about this scenario right now. And of course, Washington is one of 7 teams that are in what they're calling the enhanced protocol, COVID protocol, which means, all hands on deck because we've got players dropping like flies. Look at Cleveland's got a big game coming up Saturday. No Baker Mayfield, no Jarvis Landry. Are you kidding me? And that's a big game for them for jockeying for playoff positioning. Imagine Washington not being able to play this game. They already concede defeat before they play the game against the Eagles team, which means they no longer control that 7th playoff spot. Is it fair? Whether it's fair or unfair, the league told us before the season began, our goal is to play a 17-game schedule within a span of 18 weeks. That's it. And if your players are not vaccinated, if you can't play the game, you forfeit the game, so be it. And now you look at basically there's 23, 24 out of 32 teams still very much in the playoff picture. And now teams could possibly lose games because they have to forfeit. It's unheard of in the history of pro football. It is, but so is COVID unheard of in the history of pro football.
Right. Just real quick, that was list of decimation. Is that what I never heard that before?
List of decimation. See, when D Gunn speaks, only D Gunn understands what D Gunn is saying. So
no, I just never heard of it. I mean, that sounds like a terrible time. A list of decimation. That things have gone bad, my friend.
Yes.
Now, as far as the Eagles go, remember that the Eagles. Jalen Hurts limited at practice,
right?
Splitting reps the day before. looks like another game time decision type deal. What would D Gunn do in this scenario? If Jalen Hurts is healthy, he starts, or you say, no, it's too close to an injury anyway, it's Gardner Minshew's time. How would D Gunn handle this?
If Jalen Hurts is deemed healthy, you play him. This is his show. The evaluation continues in terms of that front office deciding how comfortable or uncomfortable they're going to be with him, not just this season, but beyond this season as well. But when you're talking about an ankle sprain like he has, the recovery time is usually 2 to 4 weeks. Okay, so he missed one game. He sat out the bye week like everybody else. So that's 2 weeks. So now he's on that teeter-totter. Is it strong enough for him to play that third week? If any way, shape, or form the trainers and the doctors feel, he can't utilize one of his biggest assets to the best of his advantage, which is his legs, you have to sit him, and then it's the Gardner Minshew all over again. It's another week of should Gardner Minshew play or not? No, Gardner Minshew is a backup. There's a reason he's a backup. Jalen Hurts should finish out what he started this season, but it makes for great conversation on radio, TV, and across all social media platforms. Plain and simple, the bottom line is when Jalen Hurts is healthy enough to play, Jalen Hurts should be playing football for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, you know where else it makes great conversation? On the live post-game show. That's where it makes great conversation. Hey, look at you.
I don't want to brag or anything, but that guy on the left of that picture, man, I heard he's a good dude. He's pretty smooth. He's like the modern day John Shaft. Who is the man?
Shaft. Can you dig it?
His neck for a brother, man. Shaft.
He's a bad mother. Watch your mouth. Anyway, I know. We have fun. When it comes to everything else,
we need mental help.
that too. That wouldn't hurt. That wouldn't hurt. How many wins do you think it's going to take? You have a slew of NFC teams right now that have the 6-7 record, just like the Eagles have the 6-7 record. And I was laughing at last week when it says, here are your division winners most likely, here are your wild cards most likely, and then in the hunt. In the hunt is usually like 3 teams. Last week it was 7. So when you talk about those teams in the hunt, how many wins do you think it's going to take for the Eagles to get to the playoffs as a wild card team?
Wow, they have 6 now. I would say at least 9. They have to win at least
3 or 4.
These last 4. At least 3 of these last 4 they have to win. And when you look at it right now, the Eagles and Washington are 2 of 5 teams that are tied for 6 and 7 records in the NFC. The Eagles' biggest concern is what's Minnesota and San Francisco going to do. They already own a tiebreaker with Atlanta and Carolina. But Minnesota and San Francisco are the factors. Obviously, they lose the tiebreakers to San Francisco. So they're going to need some help along the way, and both Minnesota and San Francisco have been the epitome of Jekyll and Hyde all season long. Just when you think they're going to turn the corner, all of a sudden they resort back to finding ways to lose football games again. They both have talent enough to have much better records, but as we've seen in this crazy 2021, any and everything is possible each and every week. There is no sure bet. When you look at a lot of the upsets that have occurred, you look at the abundance of players that have fallen by the wayside, and now you look at how many players and teams are going to be affected by this outburst of COVID this particular week. It's going to upset a lot of apple carts in terms of the betting lines and in terms of teams going into certain games that you felt that might win those games. Now those games became a little bit or a lot more even than they should be.
Do you see the Eagles winning 3 or 4? Do you see the Eagles winning out? Do you see that last game even being a factor in the last game of the season for the Dallas Cowboys? How do you see this playing out for the Eagles?
Well, if they get this mulligan against Washington, that's a win. They should beat the Giants next week. Daniel Jones has been out for 3 games now. Even with him back in there, they have that game here at Lincoln Financial Field. They should get that win. The rematch in Washington is going to be a key because if all of those players who are out this game are healthy, they are going to be ticked off. Ron Rivera and his crew are going to be ticked off. And, Washington's offensively, they don't score a lot of points. They're averaging like 20 points a game. Defensively, they're like a dog chomping on raw meat. They don't give up many points, so that's going to be a knockdown, drag-out fight that can go either way. So that's going to be hard to pick. Now, the Dallas game is a tricky one. Now, we're all assuming Dallas, number one, should have the division locked up by then. But more importantly, they could still be in contention for jockeying for higher seeding,
right,
or trying to avoid a lower seeding. So that game will have significance when they come here to play. And if that Cowboys defense plays the rest of the way it played his last game, they're going to be a tough team to knock out because that defense, that kid, Micah Parsons, he's like the Energizer Bunny, man.
Damn.
Not only should he be the Rookie of the Year, he should be the Defensive Player of the Year as well. Mm-hmm. That kid sets the tone for that Dallas defense. And, man, the way they played, they finally got healthy on defense, got their pieces back. They kept coming and coming and coming. If that's how they're going to play the rest of the season, I feel sorry for a lot of quarterbacks. Quarterbacks should be on the phone with their agents and insurance companies right now. Hey, can you increase my life insurance policy, please?
I had our mutual friend Hugh Douglas on the show Tuesday, and he compared Parsons to Brian Dawkins in the idea that you put him on the field, he'll do anything for you and can do anything for you. 5-tool player type deal.
Yes. You put him anywhere. He can line up over the tight end. You rush him from the outside. You can put him down, put his hands down in the dirt. You can put him in the middle. You have to know where he is at all times. We always talk about how, hey, certain players, you got to know where they are at all times. You need to know if this guy's sitting on the bench. That's what you do not. You should have instead of a spot, you need to have a designated player who you know is not going to get in the game. Here's your job. You have a headset and you let us know where Micah Parsons is at all times. If he gets a box of popcorn, I don't care if you see him get his fingers taping up. If he's sitting on the bench in front of a heater, you let us know at all times. That's your job. We might even give you a bonus, $50,000 bonus after the game if you do your job pretty well.
If he goes in the blue medical tent, we're giving you a doctor's outfit.
Yes, you go in there. Let us know. You go in there with him. Take your uniform off and sneak in and tell us what's going on with him.
Last thing for you, brother. I know I asked you about the overall rest of the season. This game, do you see the Eagles getting this win, however it might come against Washington? If
they play this game, the Eagles should have this game over by halftime. I'm 99% confident that the Eagles should blow this team out, considering Washington has 21 players out and counting. We don't know. There could be more. It's only Thursday. Could be more Friday and Saturday. We don't know. But they should blow this team out. But there's that small fraction of a percentage that just sticks in the back of my mind. This is a division game. Ron Rivera is the defensive coordinator, is the head coach, not only the head coach, but the defensive mastermind on that team over there. Yeah. I guarantee he's going to try to find a way to slow them down. Eagles still lead the league in rushing, but Washington's defense is number 5 in the league against the run, giving up 94 yards a game. When you say, well, you know what? We already smoked the number 1 rush defense and the number 6 rush defense. Yes. But sometimes the laws of averages catch up to you. I hope it's not this week. I hope Terry McLaurin doesn't play. I hope Taylor Heineke is playing with a crutch so they can get to him a lot quicker. Make this game as easy as possible. I'm confident. If I was a betting man, I'd bet every Monopoly dollar I own that the Eagles smoke this team. But that's why I'm not a betting man, because you just don't know week in and week out in this league.
Who's your next guest for Gun on One? You just had Brian Mitchell. Who's next?
Well, I'm going to have my man Brandon Graham on next week.
A must listen.
I said, BG, I need you on so we can talk about what happens after this Washington game. So, he gives me grief all the time. D-Gun, why you want me? I said, look, man, don't make me call your wife. Don't make me do it. You're going to do it anyway. Just might as well concede it and say you're going to do it. So he did. He just laughed and did. So I'll have him on next week.
Very nice. Derrick Gunn, always a pleasure. I missed the hell out of you last week, that damn bye week. Look forward to talking to you after the Eagles get a win over the Washington football team this Sunday on the Jacob Media YouTube channel as well as 6abc.com.
I know, man, but it was fun to sit back and watch some games, just to watch football.
Yeah.
And it's a rarity that we get during the season, especially now that we do the Jacob Media postgame show. It's a rarity, but I enjoyed it immensely, man, except for the fact with 3 dogs barking, grandson running around, tearing up stuff, but you make it work the best way you can.
I actually had a drink on Sunday. I never drink on Sundays because
really?
we got a show to do. Yeah. And nice little Jack Daniels, man. Enjoyed myself a little bit. Yeah.
Did you drink some of that vodka? That's always one of the sponsors.
No, that's still very much.
That's still
very much a prop. That's still very much a prop. At the end of the season, I'm driving to Delaware. I'm going to find you. I'm going to give you some vodka.
Hey, look, I only see 1 bottle. Normally, there's like 4 or 5 bottles on the shelf. What happened to the other 3?
I'm not picking up the 7 bottles that are down there.
What happened to the other 3, man?
They're right here. I'm not going to pick them all up.
Okay, I'm just checking. Man. Hey, look, see, don't get testy. I'm just checking with you.
I need a drink now. I'll tell you that much. There you go. Gunner, you're the man. People. Gunner, always great catching up with you, my friend. I'll talk to you on Sunday after the Eagles' victory. The great Derrick Gunn. Listen to him, Gun on One podcast with a slew of other media outlets. This man's covering it all. Thanks, Gunner.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Anytime, bro.
The Gunfather himself, Derrick Gunn, joining us on the Rothman Orthopedics Guest Line.